Welcome to the Full Moon Film Buff, episode 141. We're going to talk about Romasanta, the Werewolf Hunt from 2004. I rented this from Amazon Prime. I had not seen this before. As always, we start with the prominent crew and cast. You can find links to a more complete credit list in the show notes. This film was directed by Paco Plaza, written by Elena Serra and Alberto Marini, based on a novel by Alfredo Conde. Special effects were by DDT Efectos Especiales. Paco Plaza is one of the most influential voices in Spanish horror cinema. He gained international recognition with the brilliant Rec franchise, revolutionizing the found footage horror genre with its intense, claustrophobic approach and innovative storytelling. The film's success led to multiple sequels, with Plaza directing Rec 3, Genesis in 2012, Solo, taking the franchise in a new direction by incorporating dark humor and traditional cinematography alongside found footage elements. Elena Serra is a screenwriter known for work in the horror and thriller genres. Her career gained momentum through collaborations with director Paco Plaza. She has far more credits as a script consultant and development executive. Alberto Marini gained industry attention through his work with Spanish production company Filmax, where he served as head of international productions and was instrumental in developing the Fantastic Factory label. As a native Galician, Alfredo Conde has promoted Galician culture and literature. Conde began his literary career in the 70s, writing in Galician and Spanish. Among his most notable works are El Grifón in 1986, Siempre Me Matan in 1995, and Romasanta, Memorias Incertas de Hombre Lobo in 2004. Beyond his literary pursuits, Conde has had a political career. He served as a deputy in the Parliament of Galicia and held the position of cultural minister in the Galician government during the 80s. DDT Efectos Especiales appears to be Spain's most renowned special effects company, with a history spanning decades. Now, I had trouble tracking down information in English, go figure. What I could find shows that they worked on a real hit list of movies, including The Devil's Backbone in 2001, Pan's Labyrinth in 2006, Rec in 2007, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army in 2008, and Crimson Peak in 2015. What distinguishes DDT is its commitment to practical effects in an era that's increasingly dominated by CGI. Their workshop combines traditional techniques like prosthetics, animatronics, and makeup effects with innovative approaches, resulting in tangible creations that enhance actors' performances and audience immersion. The cast includes Elsa Pataky as Barbara, Julian Sands as Manuel Romasanta, John Sherian as Antonio, David Gant as Professor Phillips, Gary Piquer as District Attorney Luciano de la Bastida, and Maru Valdevielso as Maria. Elsa Pataky began her career in Spain, appearing in the television series Al Salir de Clase in the late 90s. She did Spanish cinema before appearing in Snakes on a Plane in 2006, which introduced her to international audiences. However, her role as Elena Neves in Fast 5 in 2011 brought global recognition. She appeared in several sequels in the Fast and Furious franchise. Beyond film work, Pataky has a successful modeling career. She's fluent in multiple languages, Spanish, Romanian, English, Italian, and French, which has contributed to her international appeal and working opportunities across different film industries. She co-authored books on fitness and wellness. On a personal level, Pataky married Chris Hemsworth in 2010. The couple has 3 children together and resides primarily in Australia, where Pataky has continued her acting career in films like Thor, Love and Thunder in 2022, and Furiosa, a Mad Max saga in 2024. Julian Sands rose to prominence with a role in the Merchant Ivory production A Room with a View in 1985. He demonstrated his range in Naked Lunch in 1991, Impromptu also in 1991, and a memorable performance as the villainous Dr. Hazel in Jennifer Lynch's controversial film Boxing Helena in 1993. Horror and fantasy genres are a big part of Sands' filmography. He starred in Warlock in 1989 and its sequel, Gothic in 1986, and Arachnophobia in 1990. On television, Sands appeared in popular series like 24, Smallville, Dexter, and Banshee. These roles showcase the talent for playing complex, sometimes menacing characters with depth and nuance. Tragically, Sands disappeared in January 2023 while hiking on Mount Baldy in California. After an extensive search effort, his remains were found in June 2023, bringing a somber conclusion to his story at the age of 65. John Sherian's first credit is the TV show Red Dwarf in 1992. He worked steadily since, with notable roles in The Fifth Element in 1997, Love Actually in 2003, and The Machinist. David Gant is often cast in eccentric, villainous, and otherworldly roles that capitalize on his distinctive appearance and commanding presence. He delivered a memorable performance in the cult classic Brazil in 1985, directed by Terry Gilliam. He also appeared in Braveheart in 1995, the historical epic directed by and starring Mel Gibson. Other film credits include Gandhi in 1982. One of his most notable video game appearances was in the Dark Souls series. Gary Piquer was born in Scotland to a Spanish mother and British father. He leveraged his multicultural background to build an international career spanning multiple languages and entertainment industries. Piquer established himself in Spanish theater and television. Maru Valdevielso is a respected Spanish actress whose career spans theater, film, and television. I recommend this film to fans of historical horror and psychological thrillers rather than those looking for pure werewolf action. If you're interested in the intersection of true crime, folklore, and period pieces, then this film offers an interesting take on werewolf mythos that's loosely based on historical events. It's beautifully shot, well acted, and offers a more cerebral approach to lycanthropy than many other entries in the genre. As a tidbit, this isn't the first film to tackle the true story of Manuel Blanco Romasanta, Spain's first documented serial killer from the 1850s, known as the Werewolf of Valladolid. That would be the Unseen Woods from 1970, which presents Manuel as someone suffering from psychiatric lycanthropy. Romasanta takes a much more ambiguous approach, leaving open the possibility that he might actually have been a werewolf. Romasanta also takes more liberties with the history. This version portrays Manuel as a suave ladies' man, more in line with modern serial killers like Ted Bundy, rather than the character in the Unseen Woods. The film also suggests Antonio was a real person, though historical records cannot confirm the existence of Manuel's accomplice/victim. Romasanta confessed to 13 murders between 1846 and 1852 in Spain's Galicia region, claiming he suffered from a curse that transformed him into a wolf. Though sentenced to death, Queen Isabel II commuted his sentence to life imprisonment so that scientists could study him. The film portrays his death as vigilante justice, contrary to historical records indicating that he died of a disease. Originally titled Werewolf Hunter, The Legend of Romasanta, the name was changed to better reflect its historical basis, though it is now found under both titles, so keep that in mind if you go looking for it. Shot on location in Galicia, Spain, the film enjoys an authentic period atmosphere as part of the Fantastic Factory series, a collaboration between Spanish producer Filmax and American producer Brian Yuzna to create English-language horror films with Spanish production teams. So let's move on to the synopsis. It's 1851 in rural Spain. A wagon rescues a man cut by a sickle, only for the man to bleed out and die. The wagon's driver, Manuel Romasanta, a traveling peddler, forges a letter to the dead man's wife. Someone, or something, breaks in and kills the widow and her child. Sisters Maria and Barbara clash over Manuel, who takes Maria and her mute daughter Teresa to live in a safer region, leaving Barbara alone. In the forest, Manuel blinds a bird before mutilating and killing first Teresa and then Maria. He wakes up bloody and naked. Other bodies, mostly women and young girls, keep turning up. District Attorney Luciano de la Bastida was brought in to find the killer and enlists forensic expert Professor Phillips to help. He confirms the killer harvested the victim's fat. The killer is a human, leaving the bodies in the woods for wolves to consume and cover his tracks. Manuel returns to Barbara. He seduces her and they begin a sexual relationship. A mysterious hunter takes a shot at Manuel, but hits Barbara instead. While Manuel removes the bullet, she discovers that he is connected to the murders through a piece of jewelry. She finds concrete evidence under the floorboards of his wagon. Manuel destroys the evidence and tries to burn her in the wagon, but she escapes. The strange hunter rescues her. He tells her that his name is Antonio. Romasanta killed his wife and turned him into a wolf too. Antonio can only be cured if he kills Romasanta first. He says that Romasanta forces him to hunt and kill as well. We see a wolf slowly transform into Manuel in the rain. Since Barbara didn't see that, she thinks Antonio is insane and turns him over to the police. Then she uses the information from the letters she found to investigate Manuel herself. 3 more people have died since Antonio has been imprisoned, so Bastida realizes that he isn't the only killer. Both Barbara and Antonio implicate Romasanta, so he is tracked down and arrested. In court, he claims to suffer from a curse, transforming him into a wolf. He also claims that his love for Barbara has cured him. Professor Phillips asserts Manuel is insane. Bastida argues Manuel is a cold, calculated killer, hiding behind folklore. Ultimately, he is sentenced to life in a psychiatric sanitarium. Barbara gets access to his cell and stabs him with a silver dagger. Manuel dies. The end. Romasanta deliberately keeps us guessing whether Manuel physically transforms or if his wolf is metaphorical or psychological. Is Manuel a supernatural creature or a calculating serial killer using folklore as a defense? This approach aligns with the film's historical setting and psychological focus. Rather than the elaborate transformation sequences popularized by films like An American Werewolf in London, we only get one transformation scene, and it is never corroborated. But it is completely new, 100% practical, and really effective. We see a wolf lying on its side in the rain. As the hair soaks through, it slides off the body, leaving an unhealthy-looking, smooth canine form. The muscles seem to pulse under a transparent membrane. The transformation feels like it takes hours as bones stretch and flesh warps. Finally, Manuel rises, slick with rain and blood, screaming ferociously. It's pretty cool. Now, what makes this film's treatment of werewolf lore unique is how it presents multiple, plausible interpretations. Is Romasanta suffering from a genuine curse? Is he mentally ill? Or is he a calculating killer exploiting superstitions? Romasanta approaches werewolf mythology by grounding it in a history. In 19th century rural Spain, superstition and folklore were powerful forces, and the film explores how these beliefs intersected with the emerging field of forensic science. As a result, the film doesn't waste any time on exclusively cinematic additions to werewolf lore. There's no mention of the full moon. One intriguing twist is how Manuel enslaves Antonio as an unwilling werewolf. The film is vague on how this happens, but it's clear it's not an infectious bite. It's some kind of spell or incantation. Antonio is a tortured person. In my opinion, Manuel is an actual werewolf for a couple of reasons. The practical transformation scene is one. Why show us this if it's merely Manuel's imagination of what he goes through? On top of that, the odds that both Manuel and Antonio share such a similar and rare psychiatric disorder are slim. Though I'm not an expert here, so take my opinion with a grain of salt. Plus, we know Manuel harvests the fat from his victims to make products to sell. Hardly the actions of a wild animal. Ultimately, Manuel is killed by a silver dagger. I don't believe his love for Barbara or her love for him cured him. That's him trying to avoid the consequences of his actions and allowing him to slip away and continue killing somewhere else. Now, that said, I see the argument that he isn't. Manuel could have influenced an already mentally ill Antonio and convinced him to share a delusion. Manuel could have decided not to waste corpses after his repressed self had killed them. And I could be killed by a silver dagger about as easily as with a steel one. It just all adds up neater for me if he is a werewolf. I do think the historical record is much clearer that the real Manuel suffered from psychiatric lycanthropy, and I am very interested to hear your theories. If you've seen the film, let me know what you think. So let's talk about superstition versus science, folklore versus forensics. In the shadowed landscape of 19th century rural Spain, Romasanta emerges as a meditation on the collision between folklore explanations and emerging forensic methodologies. The film articulates a critical moment of cultural epistemology, a transition period where traditional explanation frameworks are challenged by nascent rational approaches. Professor Phillips and District Attorney Bastida embody this emerging scientific consciousness, representing an analytical paradigm that seeks to comprehend criminality through empirical observation. Their divergent interpretations, Phillips perceiving Manuel's actions through the lens of insanity, Bastida viewing them as intentional evil, reveal the inherent complexity of scientific understanding. Their intellectual disagreement underscores a fundamental truth. Rational investigation does not guarantee immediate or uniform comprehension. The rural community's collective consciousness, deeply rooted in generational mythologies, offers a counterpoint to the scientific rationalism. This tension transcends a simplistic dichotomy between ignorance and knowledge, instead presenting a nuanced exploration of alternative epistemological frameworks. Each perspective, supernatural and scientific, provides a distinctive mechanism for interpreting human experience. Barbara's narrative trajectory becomes the film's most compelling philosophical instrument. Her intellectual metamorphosis from supernatural speculation to rational investigation is not a linear progression from primitive to enlightened thinking, but a negotiation between interpretive modes. The film provocatively suggests that rational understanding does not necessarily dispel terror. Scientific explanations can be equally, if not more, horrifying than mythological ones. Significantly, Barbara's final act of killing Manuel with a silver dagger, just in case, emblematizes this persistent power of traditional belief. Ultimately, Romasanta interrogates the fundamental limits of human understanding. By refusing to provide a definitive resolution between superstitious and scientific perspectives, the film invites viewers to embrace a multi-layered approach to comprehending human nature. Knowledge emerges not as a fixed construct, but as a continuous negotiation between these different frameworks. Superstition and science are not opposing categories, but interconnected modes of making meaning in a fundamentally mysterious world. And in this context, Romasanta transcends genre constraints, becoming a sophisticated philosophical exploration of how humans construct understanding when confronted with impenetrable darkness. So, if you like lycanthropes, like, share, and subscribe. Contribute your thoughts and additional observations in the comments down below. Let me know what I missed or what you noticed. Next, I plan on discussing an actual werewolf anthology film, The Lunar Pack, from 2004. Keep your eye on the moon, a silver bullet in the chamber, and we'll see you back next episode.